Hello everyone, I'm John with JP Strategic Investments, and today I want to go over how the likely outcome of this election will affect the stock market as a whole, and also how it will affect specific industries and sectors. So let's dive right in. So first, as I'm recording this video, it looks like Joe Biden is currently leading in Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin, while Donald Trump is ahead in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics on probabilities here because I'm not an expert on elections, and apparently neither are the pollsters either. So what I'm going to go over is just what I'm hearing across multiple news platforms, and that is that pretty much the only state here that could flip one way or the other is Pennsylvania. And really, that doesn't matter too much because Biden could win even without Pennsylvania with the states that he's currently leading in at the moment. Now, there's also some talk about Trump disputing the election. Now, as of right now, it looks like the only state that Trump is disputing is Pennsylvania, and as we've just discussed, if Joe Biden wins in the states that he's currently leading in, which would be Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin, then he wouldn't even need Pennsylvania, so that probably won't even matter. So for our analysis here, we're just going to assume that Biden wins. Now, as far as the Senate goes, it looks like the Republicans will actually maintain the Senate. There are still 4 races here that haven't been called in Alaska, Michigan, North Carolina, and Maine, and Republicans are leading in all of those races. The only one that's really close is Michigan, but it seems as if the consensus across most news outlets is that the Republicans will maintain the Senate. And finally, as most people expected, it looks like the Democrats will also maintain the House. So with that being said, how will a Biden presidency and a Republican Senate affect the market? Well, one of the main negatives of a Biden presidency that the market was fearing and somewhat even pricing in was big tax increases and more regulation. Although with a Republican Senate, Biden most likely won't be able to pass a big tax reform and regulation reform at least for the next 2 years. Even if the House passes new corporate tax proposals or corporate regulations, it's almost a given that the Senate won't approve it unless there are some major concessions to balance it out. This means that at least for the next 2 years, corporations have dodged a bullet, and you can see this reaction playing out in the market today. The other thing that we have to look at is how this will affect stimulus packages. So on this, I don't think that there will actually be any continued stimulus talks until all of the voting is counted and whatever court cases that have arisen out of this are settled. So that being said, although there could be some court cases and disputes here, I think that if Biden wins, there will be a peaceful transition of power, although it could take a while to finalize everything. So I don't think that we'll really see any real progress on stimulus until probably January, although it could progress quickly after that. Now, as far as individual sectors go, first of all, you can see that big tech is up huge right now. Now, in my opinion, this is mainly a relief knowing that taxes and regulations are not going to be increased, but also it's due to a pent-up rally from their earnings. Now, I talked about this in our last weekly investor update. We had some great earnings on Thursday from most of the big tech companies, but most of the stocks were down. And I think this is a sigh of relief from Wall Street that they're now able to put to use some of the capital that they've been holding on the sidelines. One tech company that is notably red today is Tesla. This may come as a surprise to many who assumed that a Biden win was good for Tesla, although in my opinion, a Trump win would have actually been much better for Tesla. And this could be the reason that Tesla is actually down today. We put out a video on this several weeks ago explaining exactly why a Biden win would be very negative for Tesla. If you're a Tesla investor, I would definitely check out this video. We'll put it in the description and in the info cards above. Now, as far as the oil industry goes, these stocks are up slightly, probably has a bit to do with the Republican Senate as well, but obviously these companies are going to have a much harder time under Biden than Trump, even with the Republican Senate. It seems as if most of this is already priced into these stocks though, as they have declined over the past few months, and they're still down heavily as they're suffering residual effects from the pandemic. So most likely with these companies, their success and how well their stocks perform over the next 1 to 2 years is much more reliant on the pandemic and how that situation plays out, rather than any sort of possible regulations we could get from a Joe Biden presidency. The auto industry is somewhat flat today as many investors are unsure how Biden's EV and other clean energy proposals could affect those companies. Now, I think Ford and GM should actually be up a lot more right now because Biden's plan helps them out a whole lot more than it does Tesla, and GM and Ford are in desperate need of this help. Again, if this doesn't make sense to you, definitely check out our video on Tesla and the election. We'll put a link in the description. So these are kind of the main industries I wanted to cover for now. I do want to touch on one more thing as it relates to Uber in this election. Prop 22 did pass, granting Uber and Lyft exemptions from classifying their drivers as employees in California, and this is huge for the ride-sharing industry, and you can see how big it actually is with both of these stocks up well over 10%. So again, that's mostly what I wanted to cover for now. Obviously, there's a lot more information to process, and there's still a lot of votes to count, but I wanted to get our thoughts and analysis out for you guys to help you better understand what's happening in the market. So if you found this video helpful, please consider liking and subscribing for more information and stock analysis, and have a great day.